Hello everybody, Mike Levin, pulling out from public storage, having just put my lifetime collection of comics. It's not really collecting for a lifetime, it's the comics I've collected in my life into public storage. It's not a climate controlled facility, that would have been much more expensive, but I do have most of the comics individually wrapped in their little plastic envelopes with their little acid absorbing cardboard backing, so hopefully ones that have any monetary value are preserved. It's one of the few things that I have to hand down to my kid. Not that I think handing down material possessions is an important thing. I think material things are overrated. I think that most people spend too much time coveting and worshiping material things. I think most matter doesn't matter. And I think that the contest to accumulate matter and to have, contests of who has more matter and who can feel like they matter more based on who has more matter is for posers, for people who are hollow inside. My attention has been going a lot lately to T.S. Eliot, his cat compilations is just wonderful. As wonderful as his cat compilations are, under the pseudonym Old Possum, in Food for the Soul and Energizing to the Spirit, are depressing his most famous poem, which is Hollow Men, which is the one that famously ends with how the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. And it talks about how most people are just automatons, just empty shells, moving their way through life as if puppets of a social program, empty inside, hollow men. Gotta make sure I do this right. Don't do it wrong or you'll have to correct yourself. I got it. I got this. It's starting to finally become a habit, just as in time for me to leave the neighborhood. I'll try not to be too begrudging right after talking about optimists and pessimists and how, optimists are objectively better people. You can put a qualitative value of higher and greater on the optimist than on the pessimist. Pessimists might actually have a more realistic view of the world. Pessimists probably are quite smart and have a more accurate view of the world. Optimists change the world to match their view, hopefully in good ways. There are optimists and people who, I talk about the golden rule. The golden rule sucks. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. What? Proselytize? Kill the heathens? No, you do not do unto others. The real golden rule, the perfected golden rule, is you do not do unto others as you would not have them do unto you. So, where the heck am I going with that? I guess my mind is on the driving a little bit as I navigate this tiny bit of the back roads. I gotta get right. You can feel the shake, shake, shake. That's because I'm on the back roads of the mountains. Crossing over little bridges, zigging and zagging, zagging and zigging. It's raining today. My windshield's a bit dirty. Oh, I gotta make sure I go the right way. Yes. Did I finish talking about anti-fragile? Is that the direction I even want to go here? Yeah, I guess I've been building up with a bunch of different videos, working my way to the point. I'll go a little bit darker here because I need better visibility. That double light was nice for a minute, established some mood, but I need my eyes to have the night vision, so we'll go all the way. It'll be really dark for a bit. Whew. Open-mindedness, the ability to learn new things, the ability to let go of old notions. I had a very, very interesting discussion today about when you're trying to transition, when you're trying to move from one place you are in your head in life to another place in your head in life. Learn a new skill, grow up a little, what have you. There's really a lot of ways that this can all be interpreted. But it always comes down to having to undergo some sort of change. And when you have worked your way through all the things leading up to the last final obstacle, it's hardest because it is not a hurdle to overcome. It is not something to leap over. You leaped over everything. Your last thing is a closed door. Worse than a closed door, it's a closed and locked door. And again, an Alice metaphor. It's easy to use Alice's Adventures in Wonderland as a metaphor for things because it's a book of metaphors for things. Not very pleasant, but you have to overcome the fact that in life, no one is really your friend, and ultimately you look out for yourself. That's the British way, right? The British way is legit. The British do a lot of accurate channeling. Like, lessons from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland are in many ways more true than the pessimistic worldview of the British outlook of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland are in many ways more true in that you should only just expect to encounter a bunch of eccentric characters. None of them are really interested in being your friends. Sorry, Johnny Depp and the movie rendition of Alice in Wonderland. Who's that actor? Vincent something? Oh, I forget. But sorry to the cinematic interpretation, but the book draws a pretty clear image that no one's your friend. Even Disney was loyal to that view, that pessimistic view of the Brits. And, you keep a stiff upper lip and you man up. Even when you're a little girl, you man up. That's Alice, right? Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz and the 14 books of Dorothy as opposed to the 2 books of Alice paint a much more optimistic view, and they shape their world. The world of Oz undergoes dynamic change. Oz might be real or might not be real, and then as the series goes on, no, Oz is definitely real. Oz might be in the Americas or might be no, Oz is definitely in America. Oz might be an enchanted land that is detectable by human technology, or it might be somewhere else. No, Oz is a detectable land, detectable by human technology. Charms have to keep it secret. Advances in human technology may make it harder to keep that secret, like airplanes flying over Oz and there really being a great desert. Yeah, there's really a great desert. Oz is in the middle of it, and airplanes flying over it threaten to reveal it. And again, the charms have to keep it secret. So, L. Frank Baum was a frank channeler who took the ideas of his little fans and big fans, because Oz is just as much for adults as it is for children, who wrote him with ideas, and he incorporated the best ideas he could that he wanted to write about, that he thought were good ideas that his readers would enjoy, into the Oz series. And Aunt Emma and Uncle Henry get to Oz. They get their little plot of land. They're invited to live in the Emerald City. The wizard, who was kind of a bad guy, turns out to be a good guy, but gives up his power. The real ruler of Oz returns, who's a transgender, who is a male, growing up because of a magic spell, being kept by an evil witch, not even one of the wicked witches, but just one of the wannabe witches, who was recruited by the Wizard of Oz in his darker, more evil days to keep the rightful ruler of Oz as a slave. And this slave was a little girl who was turned into a little boy. And the evil witch, the wannabe witch, was on her way to paralyzing Ozma, who didn't know he was a she, paralyzing Ozma into a statue in the garden. So this witch was going to turn the ruler of Oz, who was hidden away from the land of Oz, by turning into a boy, turning into a slave of a witch, who got tired of, the uppityness of this indomitable spirit, so was getting ready to poison Ozma and make them a statue in the garden. And that's when the creature that we know today as Jack Pumpkinhead, from another director by that same, I forget his name, good director, Edward Scissorhands, did a lot of good stuff, but his name eludes me. But the character that Jack Pumpkinhead was based on is actually a character from Oz that the imprisoned Ozma builds as a companion to let them get free. They didn't know they were doing that. They were just doing this intuitively and used some magic powder of life. And there's a lot of really good channeling of life's great, important lessons in Oz. And there's many such stories like that. And they're all coming-of-age stories. And they are hopefully dynamic personality stories. But Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is not really such a dynamic personality. Alice is a rather static character. She's much the same person coming out of her adventures in Wonderland as she was going in, hence the British way. Now, the Dorothy character went in with one person. She was good right from the start. And so the person who I was talking about this with was that, but Dorothy was always good. She was always a good and sweet person. Pardon me while I roll my window down. I got to equalize the temperatures and the humidity inside and outside of the car to keep the windshield. I also put the air conditioner on, put that on high, and aim it at my windshield, and we'll get a good quick defrosting. Perfect. It took seconds. Now I can roll that window back up. We get a little bit better audio. I can turn the air conditioner down, and my window is perfectly clear. I defrosted it in seconds. Magic spells, dynamic personalities, raw material, going in as a damaged person or not a damaged person, undergoing dynamic changes from damaged to better, or from average person with the average knocks in life to better. But dynamic usually leads to better. There's a question of what your starting point is. Starting point is sometimes damaged. There need to be better books for people who start out with more damage. Harry Potter kind of got it at that. Your parents are killed. You're living under a stairwell. You have no hopes or prospects in life. The family you're with treats you like a subhuman. And you're smarter than all of them. And some sort of indomitable spirit. And not real intelligence. Harry isn't that smart. Hermione is smart. But it's the Wizard of Oz thing again. You hook up with the friends. You become more powerful because your vibe aligns with the vibes of people around you who are not clones of you. The same vibe does not, or sympathetic vibrations does not mean you're a whole bunch of clones of each other hanging out together. It means that you harmonize like instruments of a band and you play beautiful music. And that's very much the American way. Although, interestingly, J.K. Rowling's British again, right? So the Brits learn from the Americans. The Brits learn from the Americans. The Brits incorporate the American ways, the formulas that work, because it's clear since the Industrial Revolution, we have advanced and done more and brought more of the innovations to the world, at least the big bangy ones like atomics, than the Brits have. Or maybe the Brits have done a lot and they just keep it super secret. If there's not a boom, then maybe they have made wonderful progress and it's just nobody knows about their anti-gravity devices and such since World War II and the Foo Fighters and all that stuff. Could totally be from the breakthroughs of, quantum. Quantum laid the theory, but you don't even need the theory to have done experimental things with, Casimir and Lorentz and quantum locking, quantum phase locking, and all kinds of things that could lead to anti-gravity. Basically everything but like warp field stuff, because it just takes too much power. But a lot of the other stuff that leads to anti-gravity just doesn't take as much power as you think. Fusion might exist. Nuclear fission certainly exists. So like little atomic batteries the size of a car that could get, fission that could get fusion. Fission boots fusion. Fission boots fusion. Fusion fuels lots of interesting things that have this crossover dynamic. So we'll wrap this up in the optimist versus the pessimist. The pessimists don't see the hockey stick of the technology acceleration curve. The pessimists just see how it all goes to hell in a handbasket and how every path leads to a dystopian future and the zombie apocalypse or what have you. The optimists see that, we went from, abysmal existences pre-industrial revolution to clean water, clean, plentiful food and all that for people. And now it's a matter of fair and equitable distribution, right? And technology can do that. The biggest thing, which is a wild card, is how fair and equitable the distribution will be now. Those are some good purposes to have. Those are good missions for the optimists. Make sure it gets distributed fairly and evenly, right? It's good stuff, good stuff. Free energy, our lifetimes. Likely general artificial intelligence, our lifetimes. Quantum computing, probably our lifetimes. These things dovetail to become solution after solution after solution. How do you get carbon emissions out of the sky? You suck it out 1,000 different ways and turn it into your superconductive energy grid. Your nanotube space elevators to the moon. Lots and lots of good stuff. So that's where I'll wind up. I'm getting close to home. I've got phones to answer. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe.